Sin can turn a human being into a monster. Today we're going to discuss the case of Naziyah Harris, and we're going to see how sin can literally turn a human being into the worst possible demonic thing you've ever seen. Welcome everyone to this channel. As always, if you like what you see here and what you hear here, please subscribe, like, and share this video so that it can reach other people, hopefully inspire other people. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers, so please help me help the algorithm to get me there. Today we're going to discuss the horrific case of Naziyah Harris. Let me give you a little backstory. Naziyah Harris was a 13-year-old girl who her whole family failed her, basically. Let's discuss. She was born to a mother who I'm presumably assuming is hooked on some type of drugs or something, because there's no way that this lady would not be involved in her child's life if she was not being influenced by some forces. And I'm suspecting those forces are drugs. She was born to the mother, and from what I saw, her father is not involved in her life, was not involved in her life. And from what I'm seeing and hearing, her father was a married man who committed adultery, cheated on his wife, and the product was Naziyah. He didn't tell his wife that he had this child until later in the life. He, I guess, planned with Naziyah's mom that Naziyah will be raised by her grandma and he will provide, I guess. So the wife didn't know about Naziyah until when child support came knocking at the door asking for money to take care of this child. And like I said, the mom is not involved, so it was the grandma had custody over Naziyah. She adopted Naziyah and she was the one taking care of her. So the grandma lived in the house with Naziyah's aunt, who had 5 children with this man called Jarvis Butts, was a 41-year-old, I guess, boyfriend of this aunt. They had 5 kids together, but he had 13 kids in total with multiple different women. And one woman even testified that she was engaged to him as of 2023. So he's living with this woman who has 5 kids with him. He has other kids out in the streets with other women. So already we know this is a very lustful human being. We already know this. It's been established just by what I just explained. So basically he lived in the home with them, with Naziyah, her grandma, his 5 kids, and the aunt. So basically Jarvis has been in jail before because he gave his own daughter an STD. So he lived there. So we know since about 2022, he's been involved in Naziyah's life. So as of January 9th, 2004, Naziyah became missing. She came from school. She came down on her stop, but instead of going home, the video showed her walking to the direction of her uncle's shop. Jarvis Butts was a mechanic. He had a mechanic shop with another one of his friends. So from testimony, as she was walking, Jarvis and the co-owner of the shop saw her walking, and Jarvis pointed her out, like, that's my niece. So they got her, they went to the shop. When they went to the shop, you know, the backstory of it is that they went to the shop. When he was finished, Jarvis and Naziyah went somewhere. Jarvis's sister even testified that she saw a little girl who resembled Naziyah at the shop. This was all done at a preliminary hearing to see if Jarvis should go to jail for sexually assaulting this girl multiple times. My God. If you guys have the time, please go on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Google, wherever you want to go, and just research this little girl's story. Breaking. What? This man, I hope that he goes to trial, which he is. He was found, there was probable cause that was found in the preliminary hearing that he should go to trial. So let's go back. She was missing. So what they did is that they tracked, when they realized that she went to the direction of the store, and after talking to people, they saw that she was last seen with him. So they tracked his phone. They checked his GPS. They checked his phone locations to see where he was that day. And they tracked that he was around this location, that in the back of it, I don't know if it was a river, a lake, but something, some type of body of water. So what they did is that they searched that body of water, and what they found was items of clothing that Naziyah last had on the last day that she was seen. She took pictures during that day. The recording that saw her walk into her uncle's shop showed what she had on, and they found those items of clothing, those items, a sweatshirt, a black sweatshirt, a pink leotard type looking item of clothing. And in that sweatshirt, they found the things that you put in the ear. I'm getting old. But yeah, the things that you put in your ear to hear. They found that in the water. What they didn't find was Naziyah, but they're assuming that she was in that body of water, and probably her body was washed away. While in their investigation of checking phones, they checked Naziyah's phone, they checked Naziyah's laptop, they checked also Jarvis's phone, and they retrieved some messages, some communication since 2022 between Jarvis and Naziyah. It's just ridiculous what they saw. It's just ridiculous what they saw. They saw multiple messages between this 41-year-old man and this 12 to 13-year-old girl, talking about meeting up to have sex, describing positions that's gonna be had that day during their encounters, him telling her, don't be with nobody else, I just want you to myself, and her saying, you have me all to yourself, but I'm sharing you with my aunt, and different messages. Very perverted. I can't even describe the words. There's no words to describe the messages that was between this man and this 13-year-old, 12 to 13-year-old child. She was a child, okay? And I see people in social media put in that this child was talking like a grown woman. Well, yeah, she was, because he groomed her to talk like a grown woman. For 2 years, he was grooming this girl. For 2 years, he was grooming this child that he saw was very vulnerable. She didn't have her mother in her life. She didn't have a father in her life. She obviously had a grandma who was not paying attention to her. And she had an auntie who was concerned with her 5 children and with the man that she was with. And obviously didn't care that he was previously in jail for giving his own child an STD. They were sending Naziyah and the other children, his children, every day to that shop to quote unquote clean the shop. I can't believe that they did not know probably some of the things that was happening to this girl. It's just ridiculous. And this human being has, Jarvis, I'm talking about Jarvis now, has unnatural vices, because it's not natural to sleep with your own child until you gave her an STD. It's not natural to be seeking, to be lusting over children. I'm a mother, 3 daughters, 1 son. My God. When I watched this story, it completely broke my heart. I'm like, what monsters do we have out in this world? What monsters do we have living in this world? Demonic human beings, okay? And it's settled to lust. I want to read from 1 John 2:16, and I'm looking away because I'm looking at my notes. I want to make sure that I am properly giving you the proper word of God. I don't want to make it from the top of my head. I'm not yet one of those Christians that can just give you quotations like that. So 1 John 2:16 reads, for everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life comes not from the Father, but from the world. Lust is a sin. It's a sin. If you allow that sin to take you, it will take you to places that you never thought possible. And Jarvis Butts, that's what happened to him. This sin of lust took him to places. First of all, it made him father 13 children and not properly be in their life. Because how can you say you're in their life when 5 is one way, 1 is another way, another one is another way? They're all scattered. So already you've created multiple broken homes. You haven't married not one of these women. You've allowed lust to make you sleep with your own child until you gave him an STD. And to the case of Naziyah, you allowed lust to make you sleep with this child multiple times to the point that she got pregnant. They found messages that showed that she was pregnant. She told him, hey, I haven't seen my period. And he's like, what do you mean? She's like, what do you think it means? I haven't seen my period. And then they showed searches. He started searching about red antifreeze, abortion, Plan B pills, ways to abort a child. And they even have messages with Naziyah sending Jarvis, like, my God, I really need these Plan B pills because I can't keep up in gym class. I'm going to fail gym class because I have this baby inside of me and I can't properly do gym class. Mind you, this is a child, 12 to 13 at this time, who's pregnant and going to school. So basically, the day of January 9th, from the messages that they saw, what was supposed to happen was they were supposed to meet up. He was supposed to pick her up from school for them to do something to get rid of this baby in Naziyah's belly. And no one knows what happened. If maybe he wanted to do an at-home DIY abortion and something went wrong. So what basically happened is that they're assuming that he killed her and then he dumped her body in the river. And on her sweatshirt, they have 2 holes on her sweatshirt. And if you're wearing the hoodie, it's like the 2 holes are like here. So I guess it's an assumption that he probably shot her. They can't really know if there's no body to examine. But all we know is that since January 9th, 24, this man and this little girl were texting multiple times a day, were messaging on Instagram and other places multiple times a day. And all of a sudden, since January 9th, when the message was sent that you're going to pick me up, or, that they made plans to meet up that day, since then, nothing. There's been no activity in Naziyah's phone. She has never went to school again. Nobody has seen her. And the thing that irks me, let me talk about that grandmother and that aunt that this child was living with. They discovered around 6 o'clock that she hasn't came home. And instead of calling the police and saying, hey, my niece, my granddaughter, she's supposed to be home from school and we haven't seen her. No, they went to bed that day and slept. And that aunt slept with her 5 kids, and the grandma slept and didn't think to alert anyone. Instead, they called a friend and said, what should we do? And I guess they said, the friend said, don't alert police yet. So they all slept fine and dandy that night without Naziyah in the household. Nobody worried. Where can Naziyah be? Nothing. No, nothing. And then the next day was when they reported her as missing. And then the search started for Naziyah, and all of this was discovered. So the Bible states that children should be protected. Children should be cared for. Who protected Naziyah? Who cared for Naziyah? Not her mother, not her father, not her grandmother, not her aunt, and definitely not that devil called Jarvis Butts. He manipulated that girl. He groomed that girl just to satisfy his lustful, perverted spirit. He used that girl. He took advantage of her. All Naziyah wanted was love. She was searching for love. But she was a child. She was a baby. She didn't realize she was searching for love in the wrong place. And he took complete advantage of that. And the adults in that household allowed that to happen. The judge, wonderful judge, called them for the filth they are. All of them. And I'm sorry to say that, But that's the only way to describe these people. That's the only way. And what this message also told me is that we as parents, as aunts, as uncles, as guardians, we need to protect our children. You need to be careful who your children is around, because there are some demonic spirits out there that will seek out your child, harm your child in the most horrific ways you could ever think of, and also kill your child. If they're not killing them physically, they're killing them emotionally, they're killing them sexually, okay? We need to be careful. And if you're taking care of any kids that's not yours, please take care of them with love. Please take care of them with concern, as if they're your own. Please, I'm gonna end this video with Job 31:11-12, and it reads, "For lust is a shameful sin, a crime that should be punished. It is a fire that burns all the way to hell. It would wipe out everything I own." It's a shameful sin. And what Jarvis did to Naziyah is shameful, beyond shameful. And I hope his punishment is hell. Because this man sat in court and said nothing, showed no emotion, colder than ice. So I hope his reward, his lustfulness, is hell. And I hope he burns there. Thank you so much. And until next time.